coming. There's a little hubbub in chat, I'm sure. Let's see what's going on. We've got EMAC in chat.
We refuse to go live until there's 40 likes.
That's right. We're not coming out of our trailers.
Also, I need my Skittles, but none of the yellow ones. Now. Whole bowl, glass bowl, crystal.
Oh, we got some political debates going on in the channels, talking about socialized medicine, talking about what liberals can't realize. Plus a guy named Gun coming on the show. Man, it's going to be chaos in here. Chaos. What's happening, Stokastic baseball fans? What's happening, fans of political debate in chat rooms? What's happening, just anybody who happens to have stumbled across this on YouTube? My name's Terry McBride. Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock for Saturday afternoon. I'm here with my pal Gundacker. We're a little bit late because, hey, sometimes when you make a schedule, you don't necessarily know who's on it. And I'll say no more than that. You know who you are out there. But Gun, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the show. We've got plenty of time to talk through the slate here. We've got, what is it, a 9-gamer. They'll be up, if they're not already on the screen, they'll be up in a minute. We've got Mike jumped on the, to produce in the background behind the virtual glass. He's updating the run sheet. So if the run totals look a little bit weird, if things are out of order, don't mind it. Just pay attention to what we're saying. But Gun, what's going on with you? What do you think of this slate in general, pal?
It is slate with some fun pitching. Mad Max, we got Shohei, Robbie Ray, Cy Young Award winner, tough spot, Corbin Burns. So there's plenty. It's not like the last 2 nights where we didn't really have a bunch of guys that could, flirt with 30 bombs pre-flop projection wise. So I think tonight will definitely be a spot where I prioritize, but I respect the need for a ceiling for my pitcher spot more so than the last couple of days.
Yeah, a lot of actual premium names on the board today, I think. And, maybe another day where we're spreading around ownership some, but it's not like yesterday where you're getting to a lot of like $7,000 and $8,000 guys. That was the thing that really popped for me this morning. And there's a distinct, I think, top half, bottom half to the slate too. We don't really have that middle tier. We don't really have a ton of premium quality value type guys. So we'll talk through all these different things as we go on, guys. We're going to go game by game like we normally do on this show. We'll make sure to hit the gas so we cover all the games pretty well. I've got some lineups running in the background. We'll talk through all the tools. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, all those good things helps us out, as you guys know. Let's see what we've got for free over on the site. Oh boy, there's a whole bunch of business to knock out here real quick. All right, we're going to do a quick speed read here. I already said the like and subscribe part. Top stacks for baseball are free over on the site. So jump over there. Premium tools and data is free over on the site tonight. We've also got free content, 100% free for DraftKings MLB night slates the rest of the season. So if you go over there, it gives you a great chance to check out the tools before you purchase. Click on the DK Night Owl link below, down in the description down there where everything else is. Check out tonight's tools and projections. Once we get to those DK 3 and 4 gamers, the kickoff, 9:30, 9:43, whatever the timing is, there's a lot of profit to be made there. And if the tools are free, it's a great thing to take advantage of. We also have a flash sale going on for our best ball draft kit. Here's what you need to know to claim a $1 weekly access to our best ball draft kit. We're coming up on the start of the season, so you got to get those best ball drafts in now, but you can get the rest of this week for $1 if you click the link down pinned down there below in YouTube chat. It takes you over to the Stokastic fantasy football handle. You follow that handle and you'll see a tweet pinned. Just click the link that you've got your best ball draft kit for $1. All right, so if I'm following the treasure map here, there's a link down there that takes you to the Twitter handle for the fantasy football thing. Click that. Click the link that you'll find on the Twitter handle, okay? That's how you get access to your dollar best ball draft kit. There are only 50 available, so jump over there. If you want one of those, jump over and grab it right now. It's for $1. It's not too bad. It includes best ball rankings, best ball stacking guide, underdog daily draft rankings, and more. So check that out. Gun, let's dive into this slate. Business conducted. Top game on the board here. Well, actually, no, probably the bottom game on the board, but the first one on the list. The Oakland Athletics with Adam Oller on the hill, taking on the Baltimore Orioles with Austin Voth. Voth getting a little bit of attention for the $5,200 price and some matchup, upside for sure going up against the A's here. Any love for him, and then any reason in the world to go to Adam Oller? He was a topic of some discussion in the Discord this morning.
No, like I said, with the upside at the top end of pitching today, that's really where I want to live. And I also, I expect high 20s from or on DraftKings and, close 40, 50, 60 on FanDuel is the range of outcomes to be optimal. I just don't really see that in Voss game of over 4 expected ERA, 1.4 whip, but strikeout stuff's like not the worst. 1-5 against the Athletics, maybe that dog a hunt, but I just don't think there's a reason for it for me. So no on him, definitely no on Adam Oller. Just no redeeming qualities that I like. And this Orioles team is looking good. And today's lineup looks like the future. The next couple of years of Orioles baseball is going to look a lot like what we see today, and it's scary.
Yeah, and they're a stack that people seem to be going to. So let's flip the topic then, because I don't think there's any reason to go to these pitchers. I get the both chase for people on DK at 5,200. Like, he is on the board to a degree because of that price and the matchup, but it's just not projecting through for me. So I wouldn't even have any shares of them over there. I'm just not interested. Let's talk Oakland side first, because we'll keep it down on the thing to talk about for a little bit here. Any love for the Oakland top end with the Tony Kemps, the Sean Murphys, Seth Browns of the world here? They are getting some attention on DK.
Yeah, there's a slight lane that's more playable for the Athletics today than a couple weeks ago. It would be the Seth Brown, Shea Langoliers, Dermis Garcia, I don't mind, and then Sean Murphy. So there is not the worst 4-guy lane on the A's team, and that's more than we've been able to say really all year. You wouldn't find me in the streets with a 5-man A's stack anytime soon, but I think you could start thinking about substacking these hitters. I would lean more so the power lefty in there, Seth Brown. This park is going to play a little bit more friendly to lefties going forward, and we've seen that play out this season. And just it's still a bunch of bad hitters overall, but they're less bad than they have been. So Seth Brown would be the focus.
Okay, can I throw you a Cody Thomas in there as your 5th man? Maybe another lady in the lineup. Deadman Price on the FanDuel slate, Deadman Price on the DK slate, getting a nice little home run number on him in my model.
So I have nothing in my books on him yet, but 2K bare bones min. Quick glance at the minor, 720 OPS, not the worst, 300 plus OBP. Like, you could work with that at min price in this park, and it's a below average pitcher. So I don't think that's crazy, and it's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah, and the guys that you're talking about above him immediately in the lineup, you are talking about 4 straight players in the lineup with above a 11% barrel rate, or above a 10% barrel rate. Dermis Garcia 10.5%, and decent hard hit rates, approaching 40% for Brown and Langoliers is around league average, but 52.6% for Dermis Garcia in his small sample, and then a 41.5 for Sean Murphy in a large sample. So I mean, there's some respectable enough bats with a pitcher like this on the mound, kind of like you're getting at price, at ownership. I think I can get to some A stacks. They're lower owned on the FanDuel slate. Are you going there around the field, above the field? What are you doing with them?
So I still don't think I'm going to 5-man. It'd probably be a sub stack based on the 2 or 3. And let's see, at 5% ownership, that's I'd be slightly below.
Okay.
Slightly below.
Okay. Yep. Fair. And again, on FanDuel, they're a little bit lower owned, so it's easy enough to, 2 or 3 shares and you're getting basically above the field. So that's pretty easy. We've buried the lead long enough. You mentioned them already. The Orioles are pulling a lot of ownership as of the last update. They've been popular all day long. They're looking very, very good for upside in my model here against Adam Oller. Is there anything not to like about this team outside of the ownership?
No, this is an exciting team. And I would say there's a couple of guys where pricing is caught up, right? Adley Rush, at least on the DraftKings side, but there's still some holes. Gunnar Henderson, we're going to enjoy, one of the top prospects in baseball at a reduced price. And it won't be much longer until he's right up there in the 5Ks. You're already getting a taste of that. Austin Hayes is very playable, Stowers. So, the ownership, I mean, at least it's not 20-30% ownership like a Coors game. But yeah, I think this is just an exciting team to get behind, and they fill out the stat sheet. A lot of power, a lot of hit for average, a lot of stolen base upside we're seeing lately. So I like this lineup, and I love it 1 through 9. Odor would probably be the most expendable guy for me if I had to, kick one guy out. But man, is this a fun lineup for fantasy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, top to bottom, like you said, Odor would also be the guy that I would leave behind. You can let the bus leave without him, especially at 15% popularity on DK,
Mhm.
13.4% on FanDuel. I get it because he's 2,200. He can drive the ball from time to time, but over the course of the season, 6.9% barrel rate, a 34.5% hard hit, 11 home runs and 406 plate appearances, sub average, well below average WRC plus. So I don't really need him. But the guys immediately above and below him do provide interesting ownership offsets with Austin Hayes, Kyle Stowers, and his power upside, and then Jorge Mateo hitting ninth. I do think putting those guys together with some of the other guys in that lineup does help you offset at least a little of the popularity, and it maintains a lot of upside. Those are good players like you're talking about. So yeah, I'm going to have some Orioles here, and I'm tangling with, how to roster them in comparison to the field. They're more popular on FanDuel than they are on DK.
Yeah. Looking at Ryan Mountcastle on DraftKings, I'm seeing almost 15% ownership. So that's hefty.
Yeah, but I mean, only 3,500 over there at that
Mm-hmm.
price. That's kind of reasonable for the price. And like you said, Gunnar only 2,800. They're leaving a lot of talent available for that price. That he's going to be a $5,000 player before you know it. So definitely a target for me in terms of the upside here. Anything else to call out about this one before we move on?
No.
All right. Let's take a look at the Nats. I think another targetable pitcher on the hill here, Patrick Corbin, the veteran lefty with not much left in the tank, going up against a very good Mets lineup. Mets answering back with Max Scherzer. I have basically removed the Nationals from my player pool. Not something I do a lot, but I didn't want to mess with the dual Luis Garcias. I didn't want to mess with any of that. And then it's just like, do I need the Nats against Max? So how much Pat Corbin, if any, are you getting? And then let's just talk about Max Scherzer.
None on the Corbin side. 5,400. I get it, but man, we're looking at 4 games in a row now, still single digit swing and strike rate. The Mets are really good, and Patrick Corbin not so much.
Yep, agree with that. So take the wheel on Max Scherzer, who's drawing 40% ownership on FanDuel for 11.2, 50% on DK for 10.9, and probably totally justified in this spot. But a lot of good pitchers, like we talked about.
Yeah, Max is easily the most talented pitcher on the slate, I guess, in the weakest matchup. I would say if I had to push back a minus 400 favorite and 50% ownership, it would be that the Nationals aren't in and of themselves massive strikeout guys. I'm looking at Lane Thomas, Luke Voigt, and Josh Palacios as the only guys on the team that strike out above 20% since the beginning of last year against righties. But Max Scherzer is a beast, and he can earn these strikeouts, especially his 30% K rate against lefties. And there's going to be a lot of lefties in this spot. So you're betting a little bit on talent if you are skeptical of the K percentage themselves. But Scherzer is just from a different planet, and his pitch count's going to be above 100. And man, minus 400, Terry. I feel like that we only get a couple of these a year, and I feel like a lot of times it blows up. But man, I'm just gonna play the numbers here, and I'm gonna lean on Max's side. I think the more interesting topic here is how much Max do we want to match the field here? Do we want to undercut? Do we want to eat some negative leverage? I'm always fine with taking negative leverage on the best pitchers on the planet, and Max is one of those guys. So I was thinking maybe about 40% meet in the middle for me.
It's on the DK side.
On the DK, so we have him at 33. Yeah.
And take it a little bit, take a little slice off for some of the other guys on the board. And I think I would do the same thing on FanDuel. If he's, going to be 40-ish%, if I'm 25, maybe even 30%, I am pretty good with that. And if through happenstance, I ended up with like half my lineups with Max Scherzer in them, I'm not going to be really upset about it unless they come out and put like 5 on him in the first inning somehow. And then I'll still say, well, shit, that's just happenstance. And I'd be happy with the position. Like I wouldn't think that was a mistake if anybody did that. So definitely a lot of upside there. We both don't want Pat Corbin. Is there any reason to go to Nationals bats here? Like I said, I basically took him out of the player pool just because I didn't want to mess with him. I wouldn't mind a couple shares, I guess, here and there, but there's nobody I'm really targeting or would miss. So any love for the Nats?
Nah, if a Nats bat is needed to win money tonight, then I'm out of there.
All right. So we'll both be at the bottom of standings, or at least not at the top if that's the case. What about on the other side? Because I am very interested in the team on the other side. The New York Mets, not drawing a ton of ownership. You're getting a little bit of attention on Pete Alonso, which is totally justified. Star caliber bat. Maybe Marte's getting a little bit of popularity at his $5,700 price tag. Everybody else, low to mid single digits on both sites. I think I can get to this Mets team quite a bit here. Are you excited about going to the Mets like I am?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Corbin, it's some days you wake up, Corbin's on the bump, and the opposing team is 15% owned. And a lot of times those teams aren't that good. The Mets are pretty good. And I like several of these guys in this lineup, just matchup wise. Patrick Corbin's the guy I can hyper focus on his righty splits, because we only got 1-2 lefties in this lineup, Nimmo and McNeil, and he's going to give up plenty of power opportunity. 40% hard contact rate this year, 10+% barrel rate, 1.76 whip, plenty of ducks on the pond for a high correlation scoring. To seek out top guys in a bomb detector, no surprise here, but Pete Alonso's up there. And then I always love Eduardo Escobar against lefties. They always hide him in the bottom of this lineup, but he's a beast against these southpaws. So I'm hoping that he gets one quality at bats, maybe 2 quality at bats against him. And then we deal with the age old question: how much Darren Ruff in the 6 hole can we stomach it, knowing that maybe Daniel Vogelbach is in there for the platoon later on in the game. But man, this is a really good opportunity for the Mets to put up some crooked numbers.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lineup I like basically top to bottom. There's a lot of on base acumen. There's a lot of quality hit tools in that lineup. So like you were saying, they're just going to be good at stringing together sequencing, at getting some correlated scoring. Even if they don't get the big knocks, I think they can still hang a pretty nice number on a guy like Pat Corbin if he's in there for a few innings, get into this bullpen, and you're off and running. So yeah, I'll have plenty of Mets, and I'll be focused on a lot of those guys. Escobar is really interesting at 2,400 on the FanDuel slate, like you said. And it's an easy way, not that you're dealing with much popularity up at the top, but if you get popular, if you're putting them together with like a popular stack, like, the Orioles or somebody like that, that's an easy way to offset some of that ownership. And you can stick them in at a, position that is at least workable and with a lot of combinations. So I like that there. Anything else to call out from this one?
No. I just hope we don't get a Pirates Corbin or Woodruff situation. It was a Burns last start where the Pirates ended up being optimal. So Nats, keep it chill, bro. Keep it chill.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just take the loss all day long. If that's going to be the case and they get to him here, I'll take the loss all day long. I have no issue backing Max Scherzer in that spot. Let's knock out a quick piece of business here. What do we have to talk about? Stokastic Plus MLB promo with promo code MLB Live. Guys, you know that we cover baseball at the site. You probably also know that we cover things like basketball, like football, which is starting up this week, like golf, NASCAR, tennis, which is going on at the US Open. There's all sorts of stuff at the site. All those different things, all the tools, all the content for every sport we cover is available with the Platinum Pass. If you jump over to the site and use promo code MLB Live, all caps, all one word, you can get the MLB Weekly, you can get the Platinum Weekly, you can get any of the other packages for 50% off your first week if you're a new subscriber by using that promo code. One more time, MLB Live, all caps. Go over to Stokastic and check it out, guys. It's pretty easy to find, pretty easy to figure out. I'm sure it's linked down in the promo there. Fantasy Cruncher's not included, always a paid add-on. Join Stokastic Plus today. We cut like half of that out, and we're going to jump back into the baseball of it because business is no fun. Chicago Cubs with Drew Smyly on the hill going up against the St. Louis Cardinals with Adam Wainwright on the hill. I'm interested in one of these pitchers. Can you guess which one it is?
Man, didn't peg you as a Smiley guy.
Come on, you say things like that. I'm always a Smiley guy. Oh, boom. That was a Jack Nicholson Joker level joke. That was so bad. But yes, it is Adam Wainwright firmly for me on the other side between these two pitchers. Smyly is, I think, going to be super targetable here as well. Cards against lefties all season long for me. It's been one of the best spots for run creation. So are you with me on the Adam Wainwright of it?
Yeah, Wainwright, him and Charlie Morton, man, I feel like they get better as the season go on. And this is just a really, really good matchup, but a really good price on both sides. And I know his strikeout stuff's a little bit lower than maybe some of the other guys on the slate, but he can make up for it with going longer into games, and that's really valuable on FanDuel.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see, that's Waino's patented move, right? Is going that like 7, 8 inning start, just racking up enough strikeouts by getting through it, getting you that quality start, getting you that win. It's exactly what I see in the cards here. I think the price is maybe a little high, but that's probably suppressing the ownership just enough. 7.5%, not that much to deal with on FanDuel. And then he's downright cheap on DK for the matchup, 7,800 over there. That's a bargain. So I think he's a solid SP2 option on DK, probably going a little bit under owned overall for the matchup. Would you go to any Cubs bats against him here? Grab some of the power bats, the premium contact bats against him on the other side, particularly if you're getting overweight to him?
A couple, just guys that like Franmil Reyes, for example. He's a 34% K rate against righties, but we can neutralize that a little bit with Wainwright. He's got like a 7% swing and strike rate, and when Reyes does make contact, he's got like a 15% barrel rate. So it's an opportunity to put bat on ball. I wouldn't feel that enthralled with it, but if you were finding yourself overweight on Wainwright, it's not going to cost you much of your portfolio to have an insurance policy.
Yeah, and I think that's all it is. Maybe you grab a couple of them if you're getting extremely overweight. Like I probably am going to be double-ish the field if I can figure it out, and it depends on where I get to with some of these other guys. But I'd like to have around 15% for Adam Wainwright tonight. So if I had that and I grab 4 or 5 Cub stacks on the other side around some of the guys like say Suzuki, Ian Happ, maybe Franmil Reyes, Ortega is okay. There's not a ton to love in here. So yeah, maybe it's even fewer stacks than that. What about the cards on the other side? I mentioned major target for me. I don't think they're getting nearly enough attention for a matchup against a lefty who allows a decent enough contact. Maybe not a ton of home run upside from Smiley, but I think the cards are totally worth it here.
Yeah, Cardinals against a lefty is something that there's no way I'm not getting into some of that. And then when we look at our top stacks tool over at Stokastic, we get the Cardinals coming in at 3.8% ownership. I mean, that's nothing to put Paul Goldschmidt, Tyler O'Neill, Nolan Arenado, Albert Pujols in your lineup against a lefty that's not going to, have incredible swing and miss stuff. So this is a massive upside Cardinals team, I think. And then backing up the Drew Smiley is a very beatable Cubs bullpen that is amongst the league leaders in home runs allowed. So I think it's a huge spot at that ownership.
Yeah, it was the first one I was looking at this morning. I'm excited about it. You named 4 guys who are in my placeholder lineup. I love the idea of going to Goldschmidt and Pujols in the same FanDuel lineup. It's going to differentiate you from a lot of the optimizer builds. It's going to be an easy way to get different. You have the option to do the same thing with Yadi Molina if you wanted to do that with him and Pujols, him and Goldschmidt. But it's just a lineup that I really like getting to. I gave the number on this morning's show. Their ISO against left-handed pitching is 145 for the season. That's best in baseball by far against either hand. The next highest mark is a 127 that the Braves and the Astros both share against left-handed pitching. That's the highest mark against lefties or righties, that 145. Just dramatically good spot for run creation. So basically top to bottom. Do you have any love for Ben DeLuzio at the bottom of the
lineup? Hey, Ben DeLuzio, Benny Bag of Donuts. Hey.
You know Ben.
It's a good name. So I mean, I looked up his minor league stuff. He's got 30 stolen bases, and if you want to isolate his lefty splits, an 857 OPS against lefties with looks like 4 bombs and 107 at bats. So I mean, that's serviceable wraparound potential.
Right to the theme.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a platoon risk or anything like that, but these September roster expansions, they're giving some opportunities, some kids. I guess this kid's earned this shot.
Yeah, love it. All right, that's a reason to go there. Is there anybody on this team that you wouldn't go to?
Not on the Cardinals, no. They're all in play. Like if I had at least the most expendable, like I don't know, maybe Yachty or something like that, but they're all in play.
Yeah, absolutely, top to bottom. And if you're playing on DK, Yachty at catcher at 2.6% owned for 2,400, serviceable enough. It's not that he's good anymore with the bat, but there's enough upside in there for just all the run creation that they're going to create today. So let's move on. Another spot, the Minnesota Twins, Tyler Mahle on the hill, taking on the Chicago White Sox with Dylan Cease coming back against the Twins here. Probably going to have some Cease. It'll depend on where I get to with these other guys, but definitely an upside pitcher in what I think is at least a reasonable spot. A guy that came up in the chat earlier today, or before the show rather, somebody was saying he's their secret weapon tonight, Tyler Mahle. I'm concerned about the pitch count on Mahle coming back from his shoulder injury, first start back. I think they even commented that they're probably going to limit his pitch count. Are you interested at all in Mahle here?
No, I really just don't see a reason to get there. I'm with you on the pitch count concerns. Before this most recent break, 86 pitches in 2 games on 17, 42 pitches. So really no incentive, I guess, to stretch him that far this game. So considering what else is out there, how often is he uber efficient with a potential pitch count versus what else is on the board? So I'd probably stay away from that. And just a quick peek in I didn't even make like a rehab or anything like that. So it's all bullpen sessions.
Yeah, I don't love that. And I was talking about on the show, this morning's show too, is just, I don't really love going to pitchers with shoulder issues in their first starts back either. It tends to be a major fatigue. It's a tougher injury to come back from. So a lot of good reasons not to go there. What about Cease on the other side? Are you taking shots at him against the Twins here?
Yeah, 32% K rate, and this is still a lineup with no Buxton, no Jorge Polanco. So it's a watered down version. It's not like a massive K in and of themselves lineup. They could still be scrappy, hit for average. So a little peskier than maybe you'd want it to be, but the opportunity of a 32% K rate guy, access to that is something you want. Looking at ownership for Cease, 26% owned, which is in the grand scheme of things, third on the slate, and dang near half of Max Scherzer. That's a crazy statement. The third guy is half of the number one guy. But yeah, just plenty of strikeout potential at 9,100. So you got to have some of it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth getting to. And like you're talking about, I mean, that ownership is definitely important today. We've got 2 premium upside guys at the top of the board, but like we've talked about, there's a lot of good options and some of them are going to be under owned because of how much popularity is going to those guys all the way at the top. So I think spots like this are worth getting to. And Cease, we've seen Cease, he is a premium strikeout option going up against this Twins team. So I'll take my shots. And the Twins, their numbers overall are artificially lowered to a degree by Luis Arias in terms of the average, because he's at a 7.5% strikeout rate, which is just bonkers. There's some 20%, there's some mid 20s, there's some high 20s in this lineup in terms of strikeout rate. So I think he can get to the upside start here. Are you going to any shares of the Twins bats? It looks like only Nick Gordon on DK in particular is getting any kind of love in terms of ownership for the Twins.
Yeah, if I'm trying to pick on C specifically, I guess that 0.51 homer per 9 isn't in line, you would say, with a 35% ground ball rate. He does keep the hard contact really, really low. So if I had to pull out a guy, I think Gordon's shown some pop lately to get him from the other side of the plate. And then a couple of righties that might have a shot. Carlos Correa, we've seen seats leak up over 1.1 home run per 9 this year against righties. So a guy that's a little bit more patient, like a Correa, 20% K rate, not the best, not the worst. But those would kind of be the 2 guys I keep an eye on for power, would be Correa and Gordon.
Okay. And yeah, I think that's fair. And they're not a team that really pops for me that much. Cease does walk too many guys, 10.4% walks, but he's just very good at getting himself out of trouble with the strikeout upside. Doesn't tend to give up all that many runs, tend to give up all that much power. So it's not a spot I'm really looking for too much in terms of one-offs or anything like that. But those would be the guys, the guys you named. What about the White Sox going up against Mahle and presumably a long reliever and some chunks of this Twins bullpen here? Any interest?
Yeah, so if Mahle, isn't 100%, we could already keep an eye on something he suffered from the last 2 seasons, which is a 1.6 plus home run per 9 to righties. So there are some power righties here that could take advantage of that. Andrew Vaughn at the top end of this lineup. Jose Abreu is a guy that has an 800 plus OPS since the beginning of last year against righties. Same with Eloy Jimenez. And then flip it around. I wouldn't mind a share or 2 of Gavin Sheets. I don't have any warm and fuzzies on this stack or this team specifically, but the match, you can make the case for the matchup. Looking at our top stack tool, we're getting about 5% ownership on the White Sox, which is a little bit above their top stack percentage on DraftKings, but we're kind of splitting hairs at that point. And you don't have to commit to a full stack here. Because man, I don't have I hate playing Elvis Andrews.
Me too.
And ever since they threw him in his leadoff spot, it's like It's every I have to look at him.
It's inexplicable that he's hitting leadoff. It's inexplicable that he's even in the league. I was talking about it this morning. I will continue ranting about it for the rest of the season probably. So buckle up for that, everybody. But yeah, I do think Vaughn, Abreu, Jimenez, Gavin Sheets certainly worth taking a look at there. You're getting three guys with basically 50% hard hit rates or better in Vaughn, Abreu, and Jimenez off the top. So just as a 3-man, that's worth going to at lowish ownership and pretty decent prices on those three guys too on both sites. So I'll have some White Sox, but yeah, it's not a major target for me here. Let's take a look. Let's move on. We'll do one more, then we'll knock out the OddsShopper plug. If I didn't mention it before, guys, we're brought to you by OddsShopper, our sister site. Make sure that you're checking them out for all your betting needs. We'll get into it a little bit after we talk about this game, but I think this is a key spot to talk about because the pitcher for the Mariners not getting a lot of attention for his strikeout upside. We've got Robbie Ray with drawing 11.5% popularity for 9,800 on DK and only 5% popularity for 10-7 on FanDuel. Like we've said a few times, a lot of upside pitching today, but Robbie Ray is one of those guys, under a 30% strikeout rate this year, but he was 32.1% last year. This year, 28.6. It's no slouch. He's been good, not quite as good as last year in terms of a lot of these numbers, but I think he's a major target for me here. So how much Robbie Ray are you getting to?
Yeah, so this is one of the opportunities on DraftKings to gain a little bit of positive leverage. We have him at a 15.7% chance of being the top two pitcher at 11% ownership. So 4.5% opportunity at positive leverage. That's a good sign. I hate pitching against the Guardians generally because of their low K rates. Yeah, this version of the lineup, we're kind of half and half in it though. In this lineup, Tyler Freeman, Oscar Gonzalez, Josh Naylor, Owen Miller, aggregate of 25, 26% strikeout rate against lefties. So you kind of play Robbie Ray here, hoping that maybe he doesn't waste too many pitches or try to challenge, the Quans, the J-Rams, guys like that. So I would say this is a matchup I'm more inclined to pitch against today. And another thing the Guardians are bringing to the table, it's just a 107 team ISO against lefties this year, well below league average. So it's a plus matchup in that regard. And you just grit your teeth and hope that Jose Ramirez doesn't make him pay 14% swing and strike rate on the season. Definitely still has that swing and miss stuff. So I'm kind of with you, man. This is an opportunity at a good pitcher that is lower owned than he should be. And that's kind of the case with all these other elite strikeout guys because of Max Scherzer, holding the umbrella.
Yeah. And look, people who've been watching us all year have heard me say a bunch of different times that I don't fully trust Robbie Ray, that he's still a guy who walks too many guys in a lot of cases and, doesn't have my love, but he's a guy that I play purely by the numbers almost. And there's a lot of times where he gets over-owned, and today is not one of those times. So at very low ownership for his upside, I'm definitely going to be getting there. He's 5% on FanDuel. If I'm not 15% on him, I'll be surprised, even in a tough strikeout matchup. And like you said, it's a softer matchup than normal. With that in mind, though, before we do that, any love for Xavier Curry, who is most definitely from the future with that name spelling?
Incredible name.
That's fantastic.
It's just like a basketball name. So a quick minor league look, 108 innings, 116 strikeouts, so more than a strikeout per inning, 117 whip. And then looking at the splits lefty righty, we've got a 0.63 and a 0.53 ground out to air out ratio. So he's a fly ball pitcher and 6 homers and 30 innings against lefties. Wow. He gives up a lot of homers to lefties. Now I can't put context to, what league that is. But this could be a spot for Jesse Winker,
maybe some JP Crawford,
Cal Riley,
who hasn't done anything since the beginning of the season.
Cal Riley, he's been smoking the baseball lately, and I've talked so much about Cal Riley that if the government's listening, I opened up Facebook yesterday and I had all these Carolina advertisements. North. I was like, I don't want to visit North Carolina. Why would I be a target? Yeah, so. Chad, shout out to Cal Riley.
Yeah, I tell you, that spot is probably worth getting yourself on a few mailing lists for because he's been damn good, and he's still only 4,000 on DK, 6.3% owned, where you actually have to roster a catcher. I was talking about that on one of these shows. He's made that list of catchers who I will play absolutely on FanDuel. 21 home runs at this point in 339 plate appearances, 42.6% hard hit, 14.4% barrels. Sign me up, 2,500 on FanDuel. Play him as a first baseman. Guardians on the other side going against Robbie Ray now. We talked a little bit about, maybe Jose Ramirez runs into one. Some of these guys are good at getting on base. There is some premium upside in terms of, some of the bats here. Are you going to any stacks of Guardians, or is it just taking some shares of one-offs?
It's really it's back to the beginning of the season for me on the Guardians, where it was J-Ram and the Sunshine Gang. This is a very low power lineup around him. So J-Ram's at the top here for me, and I don't really have much interest in anything else here in terms of projecting power, because I do like to pick on Ray with power righties, but I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They don't have a ton of those guys that, as I was talking it through and trying to tee up the question, I was looking at that list and I was like, oh boy, this really is an ugly version of this lineup. So, maybe an Oscar Gonzalez in there, 42.9% hard hit on the year, but not a ton of barrels. He's got the capability to run into one, but he hasn't really been doing it a ton. I think I'm with you. Maybe take a few shares of one-offs and move it along. So with that in mind, let's talk about our pals at OddsShopper, the old sister site there. If you're at Stokastic, go up to the top. There's a little tab up at the top that says OddsShopper on it. If you're just surfing around the internet, or if you're sitting here on YouTube, pop open another tab and type the word OddsShopper or I guess it's a compound word, or two words all mashed together with two S's in the middle. That's going to take you over to OddsShopper, where you can shop for your best possible bets in 30 seconds or less. What it's going to do, it features hundreds of bets daily. It's going to help you find the edge that you need in betting all these different player props or these game lines, these run totals, anything that you want. If you've got a bet in mind, it's going to help you find the best possible place to make that bet. It's also going to help you find bets if you don't have a bet in mind. It's got a parlay builder with optimized parlays. It's got an arbitrage tool that identifies risk-free guaranteed profit bets. You can use it. It uses our projections from the DFS site to build out the player projections over there and put them up against the totals. It's a great tool over at OddsShopper. So make sure you're checking it out. We're probably a little bit behind, so we're going to forego making two picks unless, Gun, do you have picks in mind that you're making bets on tonight? Anything jump out at you? Or like a home run call for the people?
I got a lot of green on, ironically, Andrew McCutchen, who I believe will be a talking point in a minute. And then all of the Cardinals, all of them, every single one of them.
There we go. I like it. Yeah. Cards upside. Find your bet over at OddsShopper. Bet on that Cardinals upside against the lefty. And we will definitely be talking about Mr. McCutchen and his Brewers in just a minute. But first, we got to run through this Marlins versus Braves game. The Marlins with Edward Cabrera on the hill. Somewhat interesting pitcher. Definitely strikeout upside in the Braves lineup. But we talked about their dangerous upside against righties for offense earlier in the day on the first show. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say about Cabrera. And then Bryce Elder taking the mound. I was thinking that Odorizzi could be a little interesting as a value guy this morning. Not sure I'm in the same spot on Bryce Elder. Any love for Elder? And then what are you doing with Cabrera?
I really have no interest in Elder at all. 1.52. Yeah. All right. We could skip that. We would need some time.
Just want to make sure.
All right. Cabrera is certainly the more intriguing guy because he is probably a name we're going to be way familiar with in a couple of years. One of the higher touted prospect pitchers so far this season at 13.4% swing and strike rate and a 27% K rate. And that's linear with, some of the strikeout upside we saw in the minors. So it's fun to see that being realized at the major league level. But hey, here's a team you're going to be real familiar with. It's the Atlanta Braves, and the Braves are that really, really, really scary offense, but they can give you those high strikeout games. I think at 8K on DraftKings, the price is too tempting for me to have none of. If that was like the 9 or 9.5K, maybe that the FanDuel's offering, I would be out. But I think there's a softer landing spot at 8K with a range of outcomes that can be positive. And we talked about some positive leverage on Robbie Ray. We're getting some positive leverage on Edward Cabrera. We're having a 9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher on DraftKings at just 2% ownership. So you're getting that menacing suppressed ownership from the Braves. So you don't even have to match the 9% if you want to gain positive leverage here, 5% and send her home. And inversely, the insurance policy is a little bit safer too, as the Braves are only 5%. So you could play both sides of this coin.
Yeah, I think that's a firm scumbacker spot for me. I will definitely be taking some Braves bats because I pretty much always end up with Braves bats. There's just a ton of talent in there. And there's a lot of days where they go under owned. There's a lot of appropriate prices. There's some value bats with Michael Harris, Vaughn Grissom down toward the bottom. Hey, look at that. Marcelo Zuna made the lineup. Guess drunk driving doesn't matter. And being
I'm Ozuna from the Braves.
I picked him up in the Dynasty League because somebody cut him out of just general being a terrible person. And I was like, oh, he did get that start. So I picked him up, and then he didn't start the rest of the week. I dropped him again. I think this is his first start since then. But him, Eddie Rosario down toward the bottom. So there's some talent there. Definitely going to be interested in some Braves. Are you going to any Marlins stacks or Marlins bats at all on the other side of this one? Going up against Bryce Elder, a little bit of a better matchup than they had against Odorizzi maybe. And some frisky bats for very cheap. Not a ton of upside though. Any reason to love the Marlins here?
Did you see Elder's last start in the bigs?
No.
Maybe I want to hear your live reaction. Just click his game log. So first, tell me the team he was against, and then read the box score there.
All right,
because I'm ready to poo poo on him, and then I see this. But
okay, against these Miami Marlins on August 14th, 7 innings, 27 batters faced, 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts.
How does that happen? So man, sometimes
going into that game, he had 8, 10, 14 strikeouts on the year in 6 other appearances.
To save you a little bit of time, he had a 5.8% swing and strike rate that game. What? One of these things is not like the other.
That makes no sense at all.
No, so I don't know if Angel Hernandez was behind the dish, but
probably.
Maybe don't game log watch in baseball. And I got to stay away. I got trusted numbers, the metrics, 6+ expected ERA, 1.5 WHIP. So he's more pick. I want to pick on him more than I want to play him. Obviously, the Marlins. If I wanted to pick on him specifically, lefty power against Elder's a thing. 1.8 home run per 9 so far this season. Find the lefty power, JJ Bleday, Joey Wendell. This is just an uninspiring lineup. So it's kind of like anytime you catch the Athletics in a good spot, it's still the Athletics. It's still the Marlins, and the Braves do have one of the better bullpens in baseball if they need to cut this game in half. So I'm not there on a full stack.
Yeah, I think that's the case. There are, like I said, a couple of guys in there that are very, very low price. So if you need a super cheap bat for whatever reason to make a build work, then maybe that's a spot that you can mine, but it's not a premium spot and definitely not a spot where I'm targeting like a lot of full stacks or anything like that. Let's hit the old gas pedal here and move on to a big spot, big talking point that you brought up a minute ago. I think the pitching in this game, at least on one side of it, is also pretty interesting. So let's start there. Corbin Burns on the mound for the Brewers, drawing a lot of ownership at a very fair price on DK. A little bit more expensive, a little bit less popular, but certainly one of the more popular pitching options on FanDuel, taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks with Mad Bum coming back the other way. I'm not seeing a ton of upside for Mr. Bumgarner at 5,600 on DK. If people wanted to roll the dice, I guess maybe for the price, but I think the talking point is going to be Corbin Burns and the Brewers bats. So why don't you take it away with the Milwaukee side of this?
Yeah, Burns 31% K rate. You talk about not overreacting to game logs. I think Burns is that guy. You just got to play the numbers. There's so much green in front of me on the spreadsheet. Just tons of strikeout potential and a big ground ball rate. So I'm in on Burns. D-backs lineup, plenty of strikeout potential. It's not like a massive 30%. Full 30% guys, but it's not a bunch of 15, 16% either. So it's right in that 20% lane. We know D-backs, when they keep the roof closed, it plays pitcher friendly. So I'm in on Corbin Burns, 9,600. Looking at ownership, we got 31% ownership on him, 21% chance to be the top 2 pitcher on DraftKings. Plenty of opportunity there to meet in the middle as well. 20% still kind of low. If Max Scherzer didn't exist on this slate, I think we both agree Corbin Burns might be the 40-45% owned guy. So I'm there on Burns. And then the Brewers lineup every 5 days, man. Madison Bumgarner, why can't I quit you? I just got to keep picking on him. And I think McCutchen in that leadoff spot, good opportunity to get on top of one. He has the second highest rating in my bomb detector today at 4.25. So yeah, I'll like him quite a bit.
Who was that? That was McCutchen?
Andrew McCutchen.
Okay. I've got him over the magic number. He's not the second highest, but he is definitely over the magic number of 10 in my model. We've also got Adames, Renfro, and Kistanura pulling up over the magic number in my model here. So
yeah,
I like
same here.
Bats. Yeah, it's just the popularity on them is going to be challenging. It's going to be tough to get to a build of like them and the Orioles and be different than anybody because that's going to be a common approach because they're all so cheap to getting to some of the premium pitching combined together. So just a difficult stack to play with, but I think one that's definitely worthwhile. And how about Kistanura, a guy who was a premium prospect coming up, kind of washed out, and now he's back in 207 somewhat quiet plate appearances. He's got 14 home runs. He's got a 47.9% hard hit and an 18.1% barrel rate this year. He's been dynamite in terms of premium contact this year. Throwing him up against a wash lefty like Mad Bum seems like a really good idea here to me. So definitely going to be getting to some Brewers top to bottom. Jace Peterson down the bottom. Any interest to you despite the lefty?
Jace on base. FanDuel chipping the chair at 21. 33, yep. I'm probably out.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, there's more in mind for FanDuel at that $2,100 price. Just another interesting guy. And like I said, you gets you on, maybe steal some bases. Any love for the Diamondbacks on the other side going up against Burns here?
Man, the Pirates got us thinking crazy. No. I mean, Christian Walker, if he hit a random homer off of Corbin Burns, that would make sense metrically, but that would be it.
Yep, that would basically be it. He was the guy I mentioned on the show this morning, and nothing's really changed for me. If it was like Marte, Walker, Corbin Carroll, and Dalton Varsho in like one stack, I wouldn't delete it, but it's not an appealing spot.
Corbin Carroll is 2K if you like Corbin on Corbin violence, and he's one of the top baseball prospects. So much like some of these Orioles, he's not going to be 2K for long.
Okay, so if you stack that, then you also have to stack the Mets against Patrick Corbin. So that
so much Corbin.
Go against Corbin's as much as possible. All right, interesting little wrinkle there. Let's knock out a last piece of business here. College football is here. I think it's already started. I think it's going on right now. Our weekly package is $1 for your first week. This is your last chance to lock in this price, so take advantage now. Now is all in caps with an exclamation point on it, but I don't know. I've been on 2 shows today. I'm tired. Take advantage now, though, guys. Really, you don't want to miss out. This is a great way to introduce yourself to college football DFS. As you'll get player projections, ownership projections, top stacks, access to our expert Discord chat, and much more. Click the link in the description down there below. Always just check that out, guys. Click all those links, open them up. Make sure you're taking advantage of all these different promo codes and everything. This one is promo code Heisman, like the trophy, all in caps, all one word. That's promo code Heisman for your first week of Stokastic college football for only $1. Stokastic plus college football, excuse me. Make sure you're checking that out, guys. All right, last couple games on deck here. We will go through them in great detail. The Houston Astros, another interesting pitcher. I know I said a bunch of these guys are interesting, but it's because they're all going really low owned. Luis Garcia with the upside for strikeouts in the Angels lineup here, 24.9% strikeout rate for him on the season. I feel like he's very cheap on FanDuel at 9,300 and only pulling 1.1% popularity. And he is just dirt cheap, discount, dandy, 7,600 on DK, 6.3% owned. What am I missing here with Luis Garcia? And then on the other side, superstar and Shohei Ohtani, drawing appropriate popularity, but definitely nothing egregious. You can easily go there, but you're drawing him against the Astros. So talk to me about both pitchers.
Yeah, I think Garcia 7,600. It's a great price, softer landing, and waiting on the confirmed Angels lineup, but I don't know that there's a lineup they could put out that doesn't just scream strikeouts. In the projected that I had David Fletcher and Luis Rengifo as the only guys at under 20% K rates, and the rest of this lineup is dang near an aggregate of 30+% K rate. So against Garcia, that dog will hunt at 7,600, and you could accept 14, 16 as an SP2, and you understand that there's a ceiling worth having here. So I'm with you. I like Garcia a lot, and I think we're getting an opportunity at that DraftKings price point. Shohei Ohtani, a tougher matchup. We do have the confirmed Astros lineup. We saw Yordan Alvarez get scratched yesterday, so he's down today as well. So that definitely takes a big menacing bat out of that lineup. They still got Altuve, Bregman, and Kyle Tucker to deal with, but the bottom half isn't that menacing. Matter of fact, 6 through 9, we're talking Mancini, Matijevic, McCormick, and Jeremy Pena. 25, 34, 31, 26% K rate. So he's going to have to get through the top of the lineup. And I think, he's talented enough to do that, maybe still a strikeout here and there, but the bottom of the lineup could make up a lot of ground here. And because everyone's in the shadow of Max, you're getting Ohtani at just 20% ownership, a little bit of positive leverage to be had there. And, he's just really, really talented. How many times have we seen him pop off for 10K? So I'm with you. I think both pitchers are very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a spot I'm definitely going to be making sure I'm getting to in these next 10 minutes here before lock. I really just like that Garcia side a lot, though, with the upside and the strikeouts. Any reason to go to shares of Angels here, like around Trout, Ohtani? You mentioned Renifo, Taylor Ward, maybe Mike Ford, former Yankee, dead minimum price. We know there's, maybe the potential to knock the ball out of the yard there, but there's not a lot of upside in this Angels lineup. Any love for them? And then are you stacking or grabbing one-offs of Astros against Ohtani?
Angels are literally unstackable since you can't play Ohtani's bat. So it's how much Trout do you want? And then Astros are stackable. I think I'm a sucker for stacking this team more than I should. Yordan Alvarez does take a big bet out of the mix here, but we got him at 2% ownership, 6% chance of being a top stack. So that's crumbs down there to be over the field in your portfolio. It's a good team. So I'm there on the Astros, and it's a pretty concentrated group of guys that I would want to get to. Altuve, Bregman, Tucker, and Mancini. If I had to immediately grab four, it's those four.
Yeah, for me, it was, whether or not I went to this team maybe a little aggressively because I figured they would be low owned against Ohtani was going to come down to whether Alvarez got the start, and he's not in there. So a weakened version of that lineup definitely tempers my my interest in them. I would have some shares of the guys you mentioned, the Altuves, the Gurriels, Bregman, Tucker, and some Trey Mancini, who's just criminally underowned constantly on this team since coming here, but not a priority for me. No love for the Angels. If I get Trout one-offs here and there, I'll take them. And if I get Ohtani one-offs here and there, like you said, he's not available as a hitter. So I've figured something out, and I would definitely take those for free, but I don't think I'm going to get them. San Diego Padres with Sean Manaea on the mound going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers with Julio Urias on the hill. Urias, very capable pitcher. Again, 25% strikeout rate. He projects out nicely for me. Another guy just not getting any attention, 1.2% popular on FanDuel. He's at 10-3 over there, so he's priced like these other aces. He's only 8,700 on DK and under 10% owned. Might be another spot the field is a little bit asleep on, but the Pods are certainly a good lineup. And then Manaea on the other side, I want to hear your thoughts on him because on DK, he's 6,600. And for his talent, for the upside we've seen from Sean Manaea in the past, I think it's a mistake that he's only going 1% owned at that value price. So is the field asleep on that value on Manaea despite a tough matchup against the Dodgers?
There's matchup. There is some pitch count concerns, and there's matchup.
Yeah. So, and he's not been the same Sean Manaea this year too. It's also fair to say that.
100%, 4+ expected ERA, 1.3 WHIP. I will say, I would agree that just in a vacuum, his talent is underpriced today at 6,600. But man, I expect a couple of 30 bombs out there, so I think I leave that one to the field. But he certainly shouldn't be 6,600.
I mean, is there a value guy in that tier that you like better than him, or a guy in the, let's say, low sevens? Like Luis Garcia, let's take off the board at 76. So 75 or below on DK. And I'll give you back Bryce Elder at 76.
It'd probably be Austin Voth and just hope that he survives 5-6 innings. I think looking at our ownership projections on pitcher, that's kind of where the field is at too. When you're 12% owned, but I get it. It's the Athletics are just that team to pick on. Would you rather pick on the A's with the below average pitcher or the Dodgers?
That's the thing. But I mean, I do have much more respect for Sean Manaea and what he's done than Austin.
100%.
So, there's that side of the coin too. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if somebody's more likely to get shut down, it's certainly the terrible A's than these amazing Dodgers. So I'm with you on that. Let's talk Julio Urias. Are you going to him on the DK slate where he's pretty cheap for his talent?
Yeah, again, I think this is just two really, really menacing, intimidating matchups, and we're scared to pitch against them. And this Padres lineup, he's going to have to earn these strikeouts. I've got one hitter above 20% K rate since the beginning of last year against lefties, and that's Will Myers. Everyone else is 15, 13%. So Urias is going to have to scrap. Maybe that makes him a little bit more efficient to get towards like the 6th, 7th inning and help us out for FanDuel. But man, I don't necessarily see this as a carve him up opportunity. And then if you can't, if strikeouts are going to come at a premium, man, you give up a couple of earnings against Machado, Soto, Bell, and you don't have strikeouts to erase those with. I don't know that your ceiling is where I want it to be, considering who's on this slate.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not one of those spots where, hey, you gave up 2-3 earned runs, but you're able to claw it back because of that strikeout upside. So very good call there. But again, on talent at 1%, 8.9%, you can take shots at the cheap price if you want to, but plenty of other spots. Are you going to the Padres bats against him here? Because they're not drawing any attention. And you mentioned, there are potentially, some targetable bats in that lineup.
Theoretically, I want to, but Soto, Machado, that'll cost you $6K a piece on DK, and then Josh Bell $5K. So if you want those upper echelon pitchers, man, it's even a 3-man stack's a little bit harder to achieve without really going super studs and scrubs. But I would like a 2 through 5 a stack if I can get there. Maybe that would be some of those Voth lineups in the back end.
Okay. Yeah. And that's a good spot to spend your value when you're getting to pitch players of this caliber at 1% ownership. It's always worth going to. They've clawed their way back onto that list, I think. What about the Dodgers on the other side against Manaea here? They're drawing a decent amount of ownership attention for their pricing. And it's a spot where maybe, I think, given my respect for Manaea, I might be a little bit underwhelmed by the spot for the Dodgers here. What about you?
Yeah, I like the Dodgers quite a bit. Trey Thompson is actually the number 1 guy in the bomb detector, and the Dodgers are the only team in our DraftKings top stack tool with above 10% chance of being a top stack. So even the top stack tool has got beef with Terry today. With that said, they come in with the 2nd highest ownership, but just 12%. That's very linear to the top stack odds. So we can be right there, and we can even grab a little bit extra if we want to, fill out the blanks. I do think, much like Soto, Machado, Bell, Betts, Turner, and Freddie Freeman, even Will Smith's going to cost you. It's hard to get a 4-man Dodger stack with the premium names and like a Max and Corbin Burns. You have to get a little bit more unique in the lineup, but there's certainly merit in being there on the Dodgers, and top stack tool likes them. And like I said, Trace Thompson at 2,600 on FanDuel, 2,500 on DraftKings, actually coming in with the highest bomb detector rating today.
I like it. That is a interesting spot. And that is also what you call stretching, ladies and gentlemen, because I think Gun sensed I was trying to get my lineups in there. So I appreciate that, buddy. I've got Trace Thompson, the 2nd highest total on the Dodgers behind Mookie in terms of my home run model, but I like that spot. I think it's definitely targetable. Brings us up close to lock. 3 minutes to go before lock. Favorite stack, favorite pitchers on the DK slate.
Chat, we need 150 likes, bro. You guys just spam it. Favorite stack is probably gonna be the Cardinals, Orioles, Brewers would be I'll say Cardinals, Orioles. If I can shuffle that deck of cards in like a 10 or 20 max, I'm in there. And then you said favorite pitchers. I really like the thought of Luis Garcia. I think me and you've talked ourselves into his price on DK being way too low for that opportunity. And I don't think we lose a ton of ceiling in the SP2 spot. I still think he could claw into a 25 plus fantasy point performance against this projected version of the Angels lineup. So I do like leaning on him. I hate to be, I don't want to be cheap with saying Max, Corbin, Cease, right? Those guys are obvious, but I think Garcia being barely inside the top, 10 in terms of ownership and 9% owned, that's an opportunity to maybe eat some of the chalk like I want to do with the Orioles, and I really like the Cardinals.
Yep. Yeah. Cards and Orioles, I think, are going to be my top 2 owned teams, just because there's only so much I can do about the sorts while we're talking through these things on these shows. And they were just coming up like crazy naturally. I made sure to go get some Luis Garcia in my sort because everybody was coming up just, Max and Burns up toward the top there, regardless of what I did. So plenty of those guys, and then mixing and matching a lot of the other pitchers we talked about. Do you have a home run call before we hit the road here?
Oh, man. So all greens across the bomb detector for McCutchen, Darren Ruff, but there's a little risk. Goldie, Can I say Goldie against the lefty? Is that just a free win for me? I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, with all that upside we talked about in St. Louis, how could you not go there? He's definitely way up my board here. A lot of Orioles up near the top of my board as well. Santander is actually the overall top-ranked guy on my board here. I'll make it a little bit more interesting. I'll go down their lineup and I'll take Kyle Stowers from a chalky team, but not one of the most popular guys. Third overall on my home run model here. Matty Olson hiding in the number 5 spot too from a team we didn't talk too much about, the Braves. Guys, that brings us basically up to lock. We appreciate everybody hanging out. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Gun, tell them where they can find you, buddy.
Twitter, YouTube /Gundacker.
There you go. Make sure you're tuning in tomorrow, light day, but we've got 12:35 to 1:45. It'll be me and Aton for Live Before Lock for baseball. And then we've got Jason Floyd and Chris Pinnell coming in at 5 to 6 for NASCAR Live Before Lock. With that, guys, good luck tonight. We appreciate it.